All right. Good afternoon and welcome to the Forum, a candidates forum hosted by the Sumter County Chamber of Commerce and produced by the Chamber's Governmental Affairs Division. I'm Jimmy Whaley of Whaley Realty here in Americus. I have the distinguished honor to serve as the chair of the Governmental Affairs Division. I serve alongside Mr. Darrell Sabbs Jr. of Barnum Funeral Home as our esteemed co-chair. On behalf of our board, our membership, and staff, we are honored to host you. We thank those of you who have chosen to join us in person. Thank you for being here. And to those who are online, we're also glad to have you. For all of our attendees joining virtually, thank you for staying engaged. Thank you to the unopposed candidates for everything. This evening's event is made possible through a collaboration with Georgia Southwestern State University from support of the Office of the President and the Technology Department. Thanks, Bob. Thank you for your continued support, and thank you to our division members for their time and assistance and hard work. And also to Ambler Batchelor, thank you so much. She is our president and CEO of the Chamber. Voting day is Tuesday, November 8th. The polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Early voting began October 17th and goes through November 4th. The early voting location in Americus and Sumter County Exposition Center, the old fairgrounds, at 903 Atherton Street on Highway 30. The hours Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 daily. On Saturday, October 22nd and the 29th, the hours are from 9 to 5 p.m. Starting on November 4th, please go to your designated polling place for Election Day voting. To determine your polling location or to check the status of your voter registration, please visit mvp.sos.ga.gov. There are 3 locally contested races to be determined on November 8th for Sumter County residents. To see the maps of the districts, please visit sumtercountygaelections.us. The Sumter County Board of Education, the candidates for District 1 are the incumbent Miss Abbas Bivens and Miss Aisha Wilcher Evans. For District 3, the candidates are the incumbent Mr. Edward F. Jackson Jr., who is running uncontested. For District 5, the candidates are the incumbent Miss Carolyn C. Hamilton and Mr. Matt Berry. For District 7, the candidate is incumbent Miss Sylvia Rowling, running uncontested. For the Sumter County Board of Commissioners, the candidate for District 2 is the incumbent Mr. Marcus Paul Waddell, running uncontested. For District 4, the candidates are Mr. David Baldwin and Mr. Mathis Wright. For our general election at the state level, we have with us tonight the candidates from Georgia House of Representatives. The candidates for District 151 are the incumbent Representative Mike Chokas and Ms. Joyce Barlow. To see the maps of the districts, please visit sumtercountygaelections.us. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Darrell Sabbs Jr.
Thank you, Jimmy, and thank you all for being here today. This forum is a candidates forum for our general election. This is a hybrid event for candidates and attendees to join us virtually or in person. This forum provides the candidates an opportunity to answer questions from one another. This is not a debate. It is an equitable opportunity to provide an inclusive platform for all candidates to have their say in a public forum for community members to learn more, hosted by a politically neutral organization, our Sumter County Chamber of Commerce, that neither conducts lobbying efforts nor endorses political candidates or parties. It is my pleasure to be able to introduce to you all today our moderator, Mr. Grant Buckley. He has an impressive resume and background. We appreciate being connected to him through his great economic development work in the Cordell-Crisp County area and serving with him on the River Valley Regional Commission on the Transportation Special Purpose Local Option Tax, or T-SPLOST, Regional Voter Educational Campaign, to discuss how the region has used those dollars to impact our transportation infrastructure. Mr. Buckley is the executive director of both the Industrial Development Development Authority and Industrial Development Council of Cordele and Crisp County, Georgia. Mr. Buckley grew up in Swainsboro, Georgia. He attended Georgia Tech and graduated in 1984 with a Bachelor of Science degree in Industrial Management. While in college, Mr. Buckley served for 4 years with the Georgia Air National Guard, based in Savannah, Georgia, as a flight line mechanic working on C-130 cargo aircraft. After college graduation, Mr. Buckley worked for 5 years with Shaw Industries, the world's largest carpet manufacturer. Mr. Buckley then entered the field of economic development, where he worked for the next 10 years. 8 of those years were with the Georgia Department of Economic Development as a project manager, and 2 were with the Gainesville, Georgia Chamber of Commerce. At the age of 37, Mr. Buckley left the corporate world to enter law school. He attended Loyola University in New Orleans for his first year, then transferred to the University of Georgia School of Law. He graduated from Georgia in 2002 at the age of 40. For the next 13 years, Mr. Buckley practiced law on St. Simon's Island in Georgia. He is admitted to practice in both Georgia and Florida. In 2015, Mr. Buckley returned to his economic development roots by accepting the position of Executive Director of the Cordele-Crisp County Industrial Development Council. Mr. Buckley is single and has no children. He enjoys boating, fishing, hunting, golfing, and flying. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you our moderator, Mr. Grant Buckley.
All right, candidates, thank you for your participation. We have invited all candidates for this upcoming election. The contact information was provided by the Sumter County Board of Elections for our local candidates. The candidates that you do not see here this evening have either declined or were unable to attend due to a last-minute emergency. Tonight on this stage will be the candidates for their respective opponent and moderator only. Each candidate has provided one question in advance that they will want their opponent to answer, as well as themselves. The moderator will ask that provided question to that candidate first, then to the other candidates. All questions were approved by the Governmental Affairs Division. The Governmental Affairs Division committed not to share or discuss the questions outside of the division meeting. Each division member is under a statement of confidentiality for their service on this division. Each candidate knows their question, but not the other candidate's question until asked on stage this evening. Each candidate may take up to 3 minutes to answer each question and not a moment longer. At the end of each round, each candidate will have 5 minutes to give their reason to vote for them or final remarks. At the beginning of the forum, the candidates selected the order by random selection. Candidates and audience, please be reminded that civility is at the core of our program. The culture, the Chamber of Commerce, and history of this forum is to provide a safe environment for candidates to address the public. We ask for there to be no direct attacks on candidates, stay factual, and respect each other as citizens of our great Sumter County and members of our community. The candidates have all agreed during the order selection, and we will ask all audience members to agree to remain civil or be escorted out. Please show your agreement by a round of applause. All right, let's get started. Our first race of the night is for the newly drawn House District 151 between incumbent Representative Mike Chokus and Ms. Joyce Barlow. A coin was flipped out front, and Representative Chokus will go first.
That's good. Now, will y'all read the question? Thank you.
Kenny, you got your timer ready to go?
Yes,
All right, candidates, when you're ready, let me know and we'll move forward.
Ready?
All right, Mr. Chokus, ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, this question comes from the incumbent, Representative Mike Chokus. Representative Chokus, you will have 3 minutes to answer once I am done reading the question. Here's the question. Americans' concern about crime and violence is at its highest level in years, with 53% worrying about crime a great deal, according to Gallup. How would you address this growing crime epidemic?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I got the right to question. I like the question. But before I start, I want to thank Amber, our chamber president. I appreciate you hosting this, executive director. And then Jimmy, thank you for organizing this as well. And Darrell, thank you very much. We appreciate y'all giving us the opportunity. And I also want to thank all the members of the Chamber of Commerce for their leadership and job creation and their investment in the community. I appreciate what the work is being done by the Chamber of Commerce. And I would be remiss if I didn't introduce my wife, Gaynor. Please stand up. This is my wife, Gaynor Chokus. She's the Dean of the College of Business here at Georgia Southwestern State University and the love of my life, most days, but anyway. Not really, just kidding. But one of the primary functions of government is to provide safety and security for its citizens. We do this by having an educated and well-trained professionals in our law enforcement community. We created a study committee, and I had the opportunity of being chairman of the study committee to look at ways of increasing compensation, increasing recruitment opportunities, and addressing advancement within the law enforcement community. Some of the things that we talked about was a universal retirement system, much like our educators. This is something that many of the stakeholders are people in law enforcement, from county sheriffs to city police to our state troopers, our GBI, and so forth. They would all be able to participate in, and should they choose one area of interest over the other, go from a county or another area, they'll be able to take their retirement with them. Other area that we're looking at is recruitment. We don't have enough young people interested in the profession of law enforcement. And I've already talked to several superintendents, I did that last week at the RESA meeting, about creating a law enforcement academy as a career path. Maybe something along the lines of our junior ROTC, JROTC, so that we'll be able to offer career paths for our young people so that they can get a job in law enforcement, get the training, get the career that they have, provide for their families, because quite frankly, we don't pay these men and women in law enforcement enough. And thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chokus. Ms. Barlow, let me reread the question, especially for the benefit of our audience, and then ask you to answer. The question is, Americans' concern about crime and violence is at its highest level in years, with 53% worrying about crime a great deal, according to Gallup. How would you address this growing crime epidemic?
Thank you for the question. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to the Chamber and all of its executive officers for hosting this event. I am Joyce Barlow, running for state representative of this district. The district covers Northwest Doherty, all of Terrell, Stewart, Webster, Chattahoochee, Marion, and Sly County, and three-fourths of Sumter County, which is a result of gerrymandering. As far as policing and understanding the needs of the police force, our law enforcement is to protect and to serve. And that coincides directly with what I believe in serving people. I represent leadership leadership that cares about people. Therefore, when you have a law enforcement department and we're working to make sure that our communities are protected, we engage our community. This is not a job that is done in isolation. We have to engage the community. The community has to be educated to understand that part of the responsibility is theirs. It does not fall completely on the law enforcement department. It is ours. As in the Christmas Carol, and when the ghost of the present showed the people that it was ignorance and poverty that caused a lot of the issues with law enforcement that people just didn't understand. We have to have community policing. We have to make sure that we hire and train. They have to be very well trained, the officers, before they step out into the field. We cannot ignore that hiring someone, putting them in any job, not only law enforcement, puts that person at a disability. We have to have the education starts early, interacting with the public, understanding that the responsibility falls on us all. If we see something, report it. If you know something, share it and report it with the persons. Therefore, get to know who's engaged. We have a high incidence of gun violence. We've got to work on our gun violence. Those that purchase weapons have to make sure that they're securely locked away. We've got to make sure when our officers are hired that they're well trained. The training does not stop once they're hired. The training continues on and on to make sure that the officers are getting the proper education that's needed. It is all of our responsibility. Therefore, we cannot just step away, close our eyes, and think everything will go away. That just is not how businesses operate. We don't operate in a vacuum. Educate, share, have decent pay raises, pay increases, graded pay, that we can recruit and retain the best. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barlow. All right, this next question comes from Ms. Barlow. Ms. Barlow, you'll have 3 minutes to answer once I'm finished reading the question. And the question is, the passage of the permitless carry was passed despite polling showing 70% of Georgia voters opposed permitless carry. Just last week, we learned of the killing of a 19-year-old via gun violence. What specific things have you done or will you do to lessen the impact of gun violence in our city via a socioeconomic, mental health policy, deinstitutionalism, and humane approach to develop a path to resolution?
Thank you for the question again. Let me pause for 1 second and say that this is October, and I have to give a representation for breast cancer awareness for those who have gone before us, those that are thriving and surviving, and those who have taken their wings in flight. I do want to heighten breast awareness because it affects not only women, but men as well. And each of us in this room have been impacted at some point by breast cancer. Now, moving on to the question, there are so many components of dealing with gun violence. It starts in the home with education. Again, as I said earlier, poverty and ignorance. The two combined are a deadly force. If we educate, start educating early to understand the impacts, any family member having a gun in their home, that they're accountable, that they're responsible for making sure it's locked away. Educating the parents, if the kids are in school, learn about the community resource officers that are in the school. Community policing is another component that we have to add to this. Get to know who the officer is that usually covers your area, and that should be a part of the training and incorporation of the citizens taking responsibility for the safety of your own community. To protect and to serve. Yes, mental health. We're seeing a tremendous amount of mental health issues. As I was talking with Chief Pursley in Albany, in reference to having a mental health officer on the police force, a trained, certified person that can de-escalate mental health crisis situations, because frequently the calls are about mental health situations. Having mental health people on the force, having mental health workers in the community, in the school system, it really makes a difference in preventing these types of issues. Socioeconomics, jobs is always the bottom line, and economics make a serious difference. What if there's high poverty level, there's going to be a lot of crime because people are trying to survive. Good jobs with good, decent, livable wages and good benefits. It helps lift a person out of poverty. Education, getting them exposed, a child exposed young, having resources. It is all of our responsibilities that we cannot escape what happens in our community. Sharing, encouraging, help our public servants, helping the people that are working at the defects department. They're understaffed and they're underpaid. They're overworked. Therefore, we share a burden with them. Each and every one of us cannot turn our backs on it. And I, as Joyce Barlow, will always be stepping up to acknowledge my level of responsibility as well.
All right, thank you, Ms. Barlow. Mr. Chokus, let me reread the question for the benefit of the audience, and then you'll have 3 minutes to respond. The question is, the passage of the permitless carry was passed despite polling showing 70% of Georgia voters opposed permitless carry. Just last week, we learned of the killing of a 19-year-old via gun violence. What specific things have you done or will you do to lessen the impact of gun violence in our city via a socioeconomic, mental health, policy, deinstitutionalism, and humane approach to develop a path to resolution? 3 minutes.
Thank you very much for that question. And my opponent is talking about SB 319, which is the constitutional carry bill. I proudly supported that bill. It's the Second Amendment of the Constitution. We are allowed under the Constitution, it's our right to carry an arm to protect ourselves. All we did in that legislation was if you qualified as a law-abiding citizen, then you could carry a weapon without a permit. If you qualified to carry it with a permit, you could qualify without a permit. That is simply all it did. And I underscore 2 words: law-abiding. Law-abiding citizens, if we did not do this, we're taking away our rights under the Constitution of the United States to protect ourselves. We've seen a huge increase in crime, huge increase. The defunding the police movement has had a disaster effect on criminal activity and the understaffing of police, because unfortunately our police has been demonized by the press and by the opposition, and they are not being supported the way they should. And because of this, we have less law enforcement, we have more crime, a lot more crime, and then my opponent is telling me that we can't protect ourselves. Law-abiding. It's against the law for criminals to own guns. You have to be 21. My opponent just said a 19-year-old. It was against the law already. It's in the books. You have to be 21 to own a firearm. You have to go through a background check. These things are in the books now. And all we did was, if you qualify under the laws in the state of Georgia today, then you will not need a permit to carry it. And that's it. That's all it did. It didn't change anything. It didn't do anything. It helped our citizens protecting ourselves. I'm sorry, I disagree with her position, thinking that the gun violence is the gun. It's not. It's the individual. And when we're dealing with health care and mental health, that's something that I'm very close to and personal with. We passed significant mental health legislation this year with huge amounts of funding for that, so that we could help those issues of, the law enforcement faces with family violence. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chokus. Now, Representative Chokas, you'll have 5 minutes to tell the constituents why you are the right choice in this election when you're ready. So just let me know when you're ready to begin that 5 minutes.
Thank you. I'm ready now.
All
I
right,
appreciate
thank
that.
you. Go ahead, Mr. Chokas.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. It has been my honor to represent District 138 for the last 16 years. The district consists of Sumter, Sly, Marion, and Chattahoochee counties. The district included Fort Benning and Andersonville. It included Georgia Southwestern State University, South Georgia Technical College. Those are dear to me. The committees that I served on, and I worked hard to achieve those committees, are I am chairman of the Small Business Development Committee. I am the chairman of the Law Enforcement Compensation Study Committee. And hold on one second. I'm also on the Creative Arts Committee, which creates $9 billion in revenue for our state. I also serve on the, here we go, Special Rules Committee, Code Revision Committee, and Health and Human Services. And I've been on those committees, and I've provided significant legislation while in my tenure in office. As a matter of fact, dealing with health, I had one bill sponsored this year dealing with rare diseases. It was brought to me by a constituent. Now, many of you don't realize this, but there's over 4,000 rare diseases. And a rare disease is defined as a disease that affects 200,000 or less Americans. And it doesn't get the attention. We created a rare disease council within the Department of Public Health, within their budget, so there was no additional funding necessary, to look at how we can help the people that suffer from rare diseases. Multiplying that out, it's between 25 and 30 million Americans a year. In 2016, I sponsored the Jimmy Carter Access to Health Care Act. That legislation allowed a cancer patient, stage 4 metastatic cancer patient, to determine what FDA-approved medications they wanted, kept the government out of making that decision. It was between the doctor and the patient. And the reason I named it the Jimmy Carter Access to Health Care Act is because, if you remember, back then, President Carter was diagnosed with cancer, received special experimental drugs, and within 4 months became cancer-free. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that should be for every one of us, not just presidents and former presidents. So I worked hard on that legislation, got bipartisan support, and got it passed. And the first email I got was from Washington State, where they wanted to copy my bill. So those are some of the things that I've done in Health and Human Services. I'm chairman of Small Business Development. What we did this year, last year, the first year I was chairman, is we created significant legislation. The first thing is on state procurement. Small business previously was designed as $300 million $30 million or 300 employees. And that was it. So usually the large players were able to get the procurement state dollars that you and I pay. We tiered that my first year as chairman, and 1 million, 10 employees or less, 100 million, 100 employees or less, and the third tier is 300 employees and $30 million, so that we could focus and give economic opportunities to the smallest of small business people. We also created a sandbox, and that sandbox basically is what is an opportunity for small businesses, like a one-man show, to call up and get the Department of Administrative Services to help them with different state licensing. And the last thing that we did, which was extremely significant and first in the nation, was we did a definition, a legal definition for startup company. And I could go into that, but I won't have time to conclude. But I will say this, experience matters. In closing, I want to thank the members or the citizens of my district for their support, and I look forward to representing the members of my new district, all 8 counties. I pledge to you that I'll be a faithful servant of the people, and I humbly ask for your vote and prayers. Thank you, and God bless.
Again, thank you, Representative Chokas, and now it is time for Ms. Barlow to have your 5 minutes to tell the constituents why you are the right choice in this election. Just let me know when you're ready to begin.
Ready?
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
Again, I want to summarize so that you know who I am. I'm a registered nurse, a small business owner, and a community leader and advocate. I have always been engaged in helping others. I bring to the table leadership that cares about people. There is no bluster, there is no buff. It is who I am. My entire life, I've been about helping people and of service to my community. I care about the business aspect. I bring to you the unique perspective. You will not find many like me that brings the unique perspective of the healthcare and the business arena, and I mesh the two very well together. I was just chosen this past February to be inducted into the very first ever Georgia Nursing Hall of Fame because of my credentials of what I have done and worked and served in the communities. I've served as the vice chair of the Albany-Doherty Chamber of Commerce. I've been very engaged working and helping people. I'm about service. I want you to know that healthcare is very important to me because each of us, as I look around in this room, you would not be sitting here if you were not able to get up and move. Your health is first and foremost. We have to have Medicaid expansion in this community, in this district, in this state. We have a hospital. While my opponent's on his watch, 2 hospitals have closed, leaving 6 of the 8 counties, 6 now of the 8 counties without a hospital. Now, can you imagine what would happen here if the hospital closed? Medicaid expansion helps our hospitals. It keeps the avenue and the door open, a 10-to-1. If a hospital, the federal government is giving us, if it was $10, they're giving $9 of that to us to keep our hospitals open and afford the care that we need. A match of 9-to-1 makes 10. Who doesn't buy into that? The taxes, our taxes are going to go up considerably, continue to go up, because people are going to the hospital who do not have insurance, and someone has to pay. Your bill is going to go up to subsidize that care. My opponent does not care about people. I want you to know that rural health care matters. I have been in over 1,000 homes. I've traveled this entire district in the small cities, in the homes, the well-to-do and the not-so-well-to-do, and provided care and listened to the concerns of the citizens. What's going on? We don't know who's our representative. We know nothing. They never do anything. I will be available and accessible. My opponent has said that I'm a socialist. I have over 30 years of small business ownership. I believe in capitalism. It is the way this country functions and grows. I am a consultant and help numerous small businesses get started. I get the calls that I have to turn them down. I don't have the time now to devote to helping. But I want you to know, my opponent has been bullying, sending out ugly flyers with caricatures and hats of kids' birthday parties with me. That's bullying. It's all about bullying with my opponent. And why? Because of fear. I want you to know that I am standing firm. I will be here to support you. I'm asking for your vote. I am intentionally, very intentionally asking for your vote and your support. I want you to know that small businesses matter. They are the backbone of our country. And women's reproductive rights, that's another bullying tactic, to belittle women, to make women second-class citizens, that you cannot make your own decision. Are you ignorant? Do you not have a brain? Can you not think? We are in the 21st century. Wake up. I care about people. I will be here to serve. I support law enforcement. As I mentioned to you earlier, Chief Personally and I are working on this mental health aspect, and I want to take that to each county. I support our law enforcement and want them to have good pay raises and good benefits. As with every profession, small business, industry, bringing industry that brings good jobs to our district is what I'm all about. I care about my fellow man, and I'm asking for your vote and your support and to pass the word about Joyce Barlow. Thank you.
Thank you both so very much for taking the time to come and join us tonight, and we look forward to working with you both in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Up next is the Sumter County Board of Education District 1. Unfortunately, the incumbent, Abbas Bivens, could not join us tonight, so we're going to read Ms. Aisha Evans' question and allow her the 3 minutes to answer it, and then we'll give her the 5 minutes to explain to the constituents why they should vote for her. Ms. Evans, your 3 minutes will begin after I get through reading the question. Just one moment. All right, Ms. Evans, the question is, give examples of the initiatives you will advocate for as a board member in regards to promoting the improvement of the quality of teaching, learning, and student achievement for the Sumter County School District, and how will those initiatives improve the quality of teaching, learning, and student achievement?
Thank you for the question. Good afternoon. Thank you for all that appeared here today and those that are watching virtually at home. I do understand as an educator that the task of academic achievement is not solely lying on one individual, one stakeholder. We need the help of parents, we need the help of teachers, and we need the help of our students. But as board members, I believe that we need to make sure that we strengthen and give support to all three of those entities so that they can perform in a way that will adhere to academic achievement. So for parents, communication, resources, and networking. Our parents deserve communication from our school board, and they have the right to know what's going on with their children and how they can be impactful in those decision makings. We need resources, local resources to support our families and their needs, and networking. We should build a network of parents who can rely on each other and then come to the schools for the support that they need. With our teachers, we need more intensive efforts to recruit and retain qualified teachers. And once we recruit and retain those teachers, we need to support those teachers in any means necessary. In order for teachers to have effective job performance, they need support. They need opportunities for leadership, opportunities for teacher leadership. They need our support. And last but not least, our students. We went through a tremendous era with COVID. And our students had tremendous learning loss. And we are going to have to pour in supports to our students. They need tutoring, before and after school programs that are going to lead them to the success. We need a strong foundation, and we need to start those foundations in early elementary school. Start with our kindergarten, first and second grade students. We need wraparound services. We need to make sure that we entertain the whole child, not just academically, but their social, emotional needs as well. And last but not least, we need to create those positive learning environments where students can be successful in class. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Evans. Now, when you're ready, you'll have 5 minutes to address your constituents in closing. Just 1 second. Let's get our timer ready. Are you ready, Ms. Evans?
I'm ready.
All right, go ahead.
I am Aisha Evans, and I am an educator. I've been an educator for 20-plus years. 16 of those years I've served here in this district as a teacher leader, as an academic coach. Currently, I do work in Stewart County Schools, where I am the director of assessment, and I've been there for 4 years. I truly know what it means to instill and implement academic instruction into school buildings. I know the journey of our parents. I know the journey of our teachers and our students. I'm passionate about education and the opportunity that all students have the opportunity, and I totally believe that each student has the potential for success. I'm a mother. I have 4 boys, all of which are products of the Sumter County school system, 3 currently at Sumter County High School. I'm vested in the community. I graduated here in 1995 from this very college, Georgia Southwestern. I've been here ever since. I'm active. As a parent, I make sure that I'm volunteering. I'm a member of the tip-off club for our basketball team, as well as the touchdown club for our football team. I've been Teacher of the Year in Sumter County for 2 years. And most importantly, I've received 2 golden apples from students that I taught here in this district. I do have a vested interest here. I'm committed to education and the viable instruction. I'm willing to dedicate my time, my efforts to the board, to the school, to the parents, and the students. I understand that this is a collective effort. I can't do this on my own, but I'm here and willing to have the opportunity to work as a part of the Sumter County Board of Education to collectively work with the members of the board to advance our school system. I look forward to your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Thank you for being with us tonight. All right, just one moment while we get set for the next round. All right, we ready to go? Amber?
Yes, sir.
All right. Up next is the Sumter County Board of Education, District 5. This race is between incumbent Ms. Carolyn Hamilton and Mr. Matt Berry. A coin was flipped out front, and Mrs. Hamilton will go first. This question comes from the incumbent, Mrs. Hamilton. Ms. Hamilton, you will have 3 minutes to answer once I'm finished reading the question. Your question is, before becoming a candidate in this election for school board member, what ways have you been of service to public education? All right.
Thank you. Anybody who knows me know that it's safe to say that I've been a servant of public education all of my life. As a servant, I have spent a lifetime giving service to public education and its children for 43 plus years and still counting. My service have included, I've been an educator, I've been an administrator, I've been a supporter, I've been a mentor, I've been a tutor, I've been a champion for public education, I've been a cheerleader, I've lobbied for public education because public education is the bedrock of our community. As I said, I've given a lifetime. When I retired after 32 years, I could have sat home. But education is in my blood. Education is what I believe in, and public education is number one. So in order to be a servant, you have to give service. And I've given service to Sumter County and public education, as I said at the very beginning, all of my life. I've given my time, my talents, and my resources to be of service to public education and the children that it serves. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, Mr. Berry, you will have 3 minutes to answer after I reread the question. The question is, before becoming a candidate in this election for school board member, what ways have you been of service to public education? All right.
Well, thank you all for being here, allowing me to be here. Through the years, I've done several different things as far as volunteering with 4-H, mentoring young people through that. I'm the president of Sumter County Farm Bureau, where we do ag in the class. Also participate with local FFA chapters, doing different things with them, trying to mentor those youth with agriculture and reach out to them as a whole, just to educate them about what we do and opportunities within that environment, or within them, foster an environment within them that they know that there are things that they can achieve in life, not just, you know, what's in front of their face, exposing them to different things. It's been several other things. Those are the ones that come to mind.
All right, thank you. This question comes from Mr. Matt Berry, and you will have 3 minutes to answer once I'm finished reading the question. Your question is, what is your why? Mr. Berry?
All right. What is my why? What is my why for wanting to do this? What is my why for wanting to be on the school board? Throughout my life, my daddy died when I was 13. Those that know me probably know that. Those that don't, now you do. Throughout my life, there have been people that have mentored me, poured into me, given me opportunity, not by giving me a gift or giving me money or anything like that. They gave me intellectual property. They invested in me with time that they could never get back. Now, I step up to the plate and try to, or apply to get a vote to be on the school board. I want to invest my time. I can't pay those people money. There's not enough money in the world to pay them. It's an opportunity for me to be an advocate for that student, be an advocate of that parent of that student, be an advocate for the faculty and staff of the school system, to the board. Listen to them. Thank you, Ms. Carolyn, for your time on the board. It's just a matter of wanting to give back, wanting to help those young people see what's out there, not only in agriculture, that's my business, but not only in agriculture, but in all facets of business. I know that now, owning businesses, it's rough to find labor and help. Maybe it's because they don't understand what's out there. Maybe they don't understand that there are opportunities that are there that they don't see. That's our job as adults, to help them understand that. Me being on the school board would be an opportunity to take that a step further, I think. It's just biggest thing is the opportunity to give back, opportunity to help those parents, those students, those teachers, faculty and staff, and the superintendent and the board. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Hamilton, let me reread the question for the sake of our audience, and that question is, what is your why? When you're
Thank
ready.
you. My why has not changed. Why did I go to Georgia Southwestern College and go into education? Because I believe in children. Why did I take on a job as a school teacher when I could have been something else? Because I want to make a difference in the lives of children. Why did I not just sit home after 32 years of service? Because there's plenty of work out there to do, but the laborers are few. And this day and time, our kids need people who love them, who care for them, who will nurture them, and we need people who are committed to doing what's right by children. My why is, why do I get up every morning and still go to work when I could stay at home? Because I'm still working in the vineyard. There's still work to be done. There's still so much. Why did I run for the Board of Education 2 years ago? Because there's still so much work to be done. And I know I have a lot to give, a lot to offer, and I'm willing to do it. Those are the reasons that encompass my why. They're the drive, they're the reason that why I want to be on the Board of Education for 4 more years. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Hamilton. And now you will have 5 minutes to tell the constituents why you are the right choice in this election. Just let me know when you're ready to begin. One second, let's get our timer ready. All right, ready?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening again. Moderator and fellow candidate, ladies and gentlemen. An educator is who I am. Educating is what I do. Children in service and education and dedication are what drive me. In 1983, I was given my first leadership position in Sumter County as curriculum coordinator for Southeast and Northeast elementary schools. As a new young leader, I faced many unforeseen challenges that led me to have a personal conference with my principal, Mr. Lewis Lowe, with a request that I be allowed to return to the classroom so that I could just devote my time and energy to helping the small little group of students in my classroom. I never will forget him saying, "No, now you have the opportunity to help more children. You can now help all the students in the school." Some years later, I became the principal of Sumter Middle School, giving me yet another opportunity to have a greater impact on children and their education. After retiring from the Sumter County school system some 28 years later, the desire to serve and impact the lives of students did not retire. When the opportunity to be on the school board became available, I saw another chance to once again help children. Only this time it was an opportunity to impact children on an even larger scale. As a school board member, I could work with others to positively impact the lives of the majority of the children in our county and all of them in our school system. Today, I serve not only as a school board member, but as a school improvement specialist, reaching and helping other schools and having even a larger scale to positively impact the lives of our most precious resource, our children. An educator is who I am. Educating is what I do. Children's service and dedication are what drive me. I've been serving on the Sumter County Board of Education for 2 years now. Together, we have been working to make the district's vision come into fruition. Although we are not there yet, I am committed to working to ensure that all of our students get an equitable education and they graduate college and career ready. I have the vision. We have set the goals for student achievement as well as our facilities. We have taken steps to make it better financially, environmentally for the persons employed by the district. I'm working for us to build stronger connections with our community. I have the commitment. I know the assignment. When I was principal at Sumter Middle, my goal was to become not only a Georgia School of Excellence, but also a school of choice. We achieved that. Now my focus is on the school district. It is important that we strategically use resources effectively to not only recruit good people, but to retain the excellent employees that we have. After all, our children deserve the best. It is important to me that our children get the best education available so that we become the only school of choice in Sumter County. See, a strong public education system is vital to the community. economic development. A strong public education is the foundation of a successful community. A strong public school system helps the community attract the best teachers and provides the best tools to educate our children. I strongly believe that as a community, we have an obligation to provide the best facilities and the best teachers. It is for these reasons that I am seeking re-election to the Sumter County Board of Education. See, I have no hidden agenda. For me, it's all about the children first. I am grounded, rooted, and have always been connected and committed to the Sumter County school system. An educator I am, educating is what I do. Children's service and dedication are what drive me. I see the vision, I have the commitment, and I understand the assignment, and that's why I'm running for re-election. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Hamilton. And now it's time for Mr. Berry to have your 5 minutes to tell the constituents why you're the right choice in this election. When you're ready, let's get our timer ready. And Mr. Berry, if you would step a little closer to the mic so
no
they
problem.
can hear you. Just let me know when you're ready.
I don't get too excited.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes, that's fine.
All right, go ahead.
I ain't gonna need it all. Why am I the best candidate? I don't know that I am. I'm another person on the list. You know, I'm not gonna take anything away from your service. It comes down to a few things, but I do have an agenda. I'll be the first to tell you I got an agenda, and it's to represent them children sitting in that classroom. My job as a citizen of Sumter County is to advocate for each student in the classroom. Our dropout rates are high. Let's just call it what it is. In some cases, our teachers leaving the school system are pretty high at times. I don't know why. Well, I know what I'm told, but my agenda is to help those students get an education. That's the only agenda I have. And be an advocate for them and their parents, help them where they need it. Education is important to me. I got 6 degrees, all of them associates. Never could break over the bachelor side. But you know, education is important. I tell those young people, you don't have to be a doctor, you don't have to be a lawyer, be something. Get you an education. Be able to use what you learn. Be able to use that time that these adults or these peers give you to the betterment of the environment around you. It's clear what we got. If you're happy with the way things are, then Miss Carolyn, the choice. If you're not, then it's an opportunity to make a difference. I'm not saying I'm any better than she or any worse than she. We're both qualified. And at the end of the day, it's up to the individual voting. I ask for your vote, and thank you.
All right, thank you both so much for taking time to be with us tonight, and we look forward to working with you both in the future. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move forward with our next round. Up next is Sumter County Board of Commissioners, District 4. This race is between Mr. David Baldwin and Mr. Mathis Wright. A coin was flipped out front, and Mr. Wright will go first. Again, this question comes from Mr. Mathis Wright. You will have 3 minutes to answer once I'm finished reading the question. Your question is, how can I help Sumter County without increasing the budget? All right, 1 second. We ready? All right, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Well, simply to achieve that is to really analyze the way the budget is being spent at this present time. Currently, it is being spent in many ways efficiently. But with anything with much study, much care, there's room for improvement. And we can improve on what we're doing simply, especially with our roads. All of the overhanging debris, all of the side growth that's overtaking the roads, and I dare not even talk about dirt roads. And when you say, well, how do you do that without increasing the budget? Simply, we can reallocate. Instead of spending so much money on resurfacing roads that already have a surface, we can take those same funds and surface a road that don't have a surface. You are using the same funds, but in the long vision of things, with that just one change. The 6,000 miles of road that I hear we got in Sumter County could be 0. We could make that change and never change the budget, because each year we could fix a road that's full of bumps. Each and every year we could make sure that the overhanging brushes that damage our farmers' equipment, that they have to get repaired at their own cost right now. Our vehicles, when we meet on dirt roads, are scratched and scraped from the debris that hangs in the road. Well, certainly those are issues that anyone that travels a dirt road like I do, if I was worried about bumps in the road, I would never go home, because it is just terrible, and we can fix it without changing the budget.
Right, thank you, Mr. Wright. Mr. Baldwin, let me reread the question. The question is, how can I help Sumter County without increasing the budget? You ready for?
I'm ready.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, sir, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Budgets are kind of my thing. I've been in business for 30 years. I've done budgets for nonprofits. I've done budgets for my business. I've done budgets for other business. I've been, over the last 9-10 months, very involved with the Sumter County budget. Mr. Wright is correct. There are some places that we can reallocate some funds, but more importantly, we're going to have to find some alternate sources of revenue. We cannot keep putting the burden onto homeowners. The millage rate, I'll give our current county commissioners a big accolade. They have kept the millage rate the same or less now for 2 to 3 years. I'm not sure the number. So they're keeping the millage rate, the tax rate at which the homeowners are taxed, they're keeping that as low as they can. They're fighting hard for that. But we're still going to have to do, a little more. The right-of-ways that Mr. Wright speaks of have been lost. And this is not something that happened in the last couple of years. This is something that's been happening over the last 15 to 20 years. Not cutting them properly, not cutting all of the right-of-way. We've got literally pine trees that are 8 inches in diameter that are growing on the right-of-way because it hasn't been cut in the last 15, 20 years. It's going to take more than taking one road at a time. Mr. Littlefield and his team work very hard on this, and they try to keep up. Their issue is also, like everybody's, employees. It's hard to find someone to work in public works. It's hard to find someone to work anywhere. He's trying to find, I know he's trying to find a road scraper, motor grader operator. You cannot hire a heavy equipment operator with experience for $15 an hour. It won't happen. So we're going to have to find other ways, but we're going to have to increase the budget, but let's don't do it on the backs of homeowners. We've got to find other sources of revenue to fund the things that have to be done so that we can address the issues, because I agree with him on the issue. Roads is a big deal. And there are a lot of low-hanging limbs. They were talking the other night in a board meeting about someone's equipment that was damaged because of low-hanging limbs. So it has to be addressed, but we're going to have to find other ways to pay for it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Baldwin. The next question comes from Mr. Baldwin. You will have 3 minutes to answer once I'm finished reading the question. Your question is, what do you see as major challenges facing our county, and how would you propose to address them? Go ahead.
Okay. Well, and one of them I had, Mathis stole my thunder. One of them was roads and potholes. I don't like potholes in the road any more than anybody else. I see roads that need to be paved. And that has to happen in a systematic manner. The funding for paving roads is enormous. I remember a number from years back when it comes down to redoing a road like that, you're looking at $1 million a mile. It doesn't get very far when you have a county that's almost 500 square miles. So it's taken an inordinate amount of money to handle that. In old days, we had 3 or 4 inmate crews that would be out doing a lot of this work. We don't have them anymore. The inmates don't want to work. And if we can get the inmates out there, it's hard to find a correction officer. The warden is short. Who's going to watch them? So it's not as simple as just allocating resources. We have a true public safety crisis. As Mr. Chokas talked about earlier, we're seeing this right here in Sumter County. And it's not just law enforcement. It's fire departments. It's EMS. The last I talked with Sheriff Bryant, they are 9 deputies and 6 jailers short right here in Sumter County. We have fire departments that are within 30 miles of us that are 30% of what they consider a minimum shift standard. They cannot find people. But this is statewide. This is not just us. So what's happening is the state is raising salaries. A state trooper starts out going to school making $52,500. That's pretty good money. So what's happening is he's robbing our deputies from counties because it's hard for us to maintain that kind of a level. But we're going to have to find some way to do it because we're not going to be able to keep losing our law enforcement, our fire department, and our EMS. Somebody's got to answer that 911 call. Taxes, I got 30 seconds. No one likes them. I certainly don't. They came in the mail the other day, and I was just, oh my gosh, here we go again. But folks, we all have to buy fuel. We know how high it is. The county does too. We know how supplies have gone up. It's a competitive environment for salaries, not just in public safety, but throughout county government. And we have to address that. We can't lose people to a fast food restaurant that's paying more than our deputy is making.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baldwin. Now, Mr. Wright, you will have 3 minutes to answer once I reread the question. And the question is, what do you see as major challenges facing our county, and how would you propose to address them? When you're ready, Mr. Wright.
I'm ready.
All right.
Well, certainly it has to do with money, and it has to do with whether or not the taxpayers would have to fund it. But it has already begun to really actively pursue grant writers. The funding is there, but we have been slow to get it. And with the extra funding through the grant writing process, we can improve our situation for every citizen in every part of the county simply if we pursue actively and successfully the grant writing process. Too many times we have call in and get these different people to come in and give us their opinions and do these work studies. But too many times at the same time, they give them to us and we have wasted $40,000 to get a report that we never put into action. That is Mathis right. We will not pursue grant writers. We will not just get the grants. We will get them and we will use them. We will put them to work like they are meant to be. And even with the APR, that money, it came in, we've already received half of it. That's like $2.83 million. I'm not even concerned about what they did with the first half, but I would be very involved in how we use the last half. Because I will assure that that last half is used to benefit the citizens in Sumter County, and that you will feel it immediately. You won't have to wait till next year in 2024 to see the results. Because when you have an elected official locally, and especially the Board of Commissioners, we immediately from day one, every decision I make will affect your lifestyle. And I promise you, it's going to be a positive effect.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Once we get our timer reset, you will have 5 minutes to tell the constituents why you are the right choice in this election. So, Kenny, you ready? Mr. Wright, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. Go ahead.
Well, good evening again. And thanks to you, Mr. Grant Buckley, for coming from over in Chris County, Georgia, to moderate for us, to Ms. Amber Batcher, and Mr. Darrell Sabbs, Mr. Jimmy Whaley, and to the Chamber at large. It is certainly a pleasure, and thank you for having this forum. And certainly, I cannot stand here and say that a vote for Mathis Wright is indeed the right vote. I am not only the right choice, but I'm also the best choice. See, when you're talking about citizens, the citizens need a voice. I have spent my whole adult life serving this community free of charge. There are thousands of people that have benefited from my service of dedication. And then all of a sudden, I'm fixing to be the county commissioner and start getting paid for the service. I ain't gonna know how to act. But that's what it's about, is being willing to serve, not expecting anything back in return. to make sure that the citizens, when you have a question or a concern, it is not put on the back burner, but it is indeed addressed. It is to make sure that we act very diligently to get new businesses that have meaningful wages and benefits, to focus on recreation not just for our youth, but for the 55 and above. We need an outlet. We say in this city and county that it's a great place to retire. And I say, retire to what? We don't even have a movie theater. Yes, there's much we can do, and the funding is there without increasing the taxes. We are and should be even more active with one Sumter, who has the structural foundation set in place. And we have just been slow as a body and a community to catch hold. We're moving turtle speed, but it's all right to have patience, but just don't let it get freeze or burn. We must pursue actively to make sure that citizens have a way to get information. Right now you can call and you can, after you go through this one and that one and that one and that one. Even right now, the average citizen don't even realize that Sumter County have a PAPAS, a indigent program for burial, for people who can't afford to bury their loved one. I ran my own survey. I asked citizens of all races, did they know that Sumter County did that? And every last one of them but one out of the 62 people I asked didn't know. That's a travesty in a county that offers a service that important. You see people begging, trying to get funds to bury a loved one, and the county sending your own money. That can help. Yes, that's who I am. I am Mathis Wright, and I am indeed the right choice to serve you. When I say you, that's not only in District 4, but every single citizen in Sumter County, Georgia. And I thank you for your vote.
Thank you, Mr. Wright, again. And now it's time for Mr. Baldwin to have your 5 minutes to tell the constituents why you are the right choice in this election. And we got our timer ready. Are you ready, Mr. Baldwin?
I'm ready.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, my number one reason I care about this community, it's my home, and I care about my neighbors. I'm not a politician. I don't purport to be one. I don't want to be one. And that's not an ugly thing. It's just not me. I do not have political aspirations beyond county commissioner. I do not have an agenda. I do not want county health insurance. I don't want a county phone. My only campaign promise is one. I'll be on the job, and I will give it 100% like I do everything that I do. You know, I tend to speak my mind a little bit more than I probably should sometimes. My wife gets on to me, but to me, I'm being honest, and I'm not being fake. I want everyone that I ever have a conversation with to know that I am genuine and that I care about people. I'm here at this age because my business is coming to an end. I've sold my business. And many of my fellow business owners that sell their businesses, they move to the mountains, they move to the beach, they move to the desert, and they retire. I'm not going anywhere. My wife and I decided a long time ago that God put us here for a reason. We're not leaving. So as I'm approaching the end of my career as a business owner, as an insurance agent, but I'm not ready to quit. As I tell my wife, I'm not quitting anything. I'm just shifting gears. I'm ready for something new. I need a new challenge. Being a commissioner will be a challenge. There's no doubt about that. But I have a lot of fight left in me, and I certainly have the heart to do it. And I want to make an impact on my hometown and give back something like it has given me. My father always told us when we were growing up, and instilled in all of us, that you always leave whatever you touch better than you found it. Secondly is my experience. Now, I can talk about degrees and training and HR and all that, but to me, the number one class you can ever take is experience. When I was my first job as a personnel manager, so to speak, I ran a crew of 8 to 10 people at one of the packing sheds out on South Sutherfield Road. I was 18 years old, and I had 10 employees. Scared? Yes, let me tell you. The packing shed life was a little odd. We thought people that had a 40-hour job were part-time workers. We worked anywhere from 100 to 120 hours a week. That's where my work ethic comes from. That's what I was used to. That is what has propelled me through 40 years of managing people and 30 years of managing successful businesses. Now, one of the things you do as a business leader and a business owner is you make mistakes, like we all do, because we're all human. Believe me, I've made my share over the years. I do hope that I have learned from every single one of them that I've ever made. If there is a way to do something wrong, I found it, I did it, and I've tried to not ever do that again. So why is experience important? Again, you hear the old saying, been there, done that. That's very true. If you've been there and you've done that, you understand. When you have the experience, you're rarely surprised by other people's actions. You've seen it before. Most importantly, is your demeanor and your way of handling adversity, because you've seen that before as well. The lastly would be my volunteerism, and I won't get through that. I have volunteered with all sorts of boards, from insurance company boards to state associations, and my favorite, and I'll skip a few of them, my favorite is a volunteer firefighter for Sumter County Fire Rescue. It's my favorite of all the volunteers I've ever done because I get to directly impact the lives of my neighbors on a day that may be their worst in their life. That is an incredible experience. So those that know me personally probably haven't heard anything they don't already know. But if you don't know me, hopefully I've given you a little insight as to who I am. And if you approve, I would like your vote. Thank you.
All right. Thank you both for taking time to come tonight and join us, and we look forward to working with you both in the future. It is my pleasure to introduce once again Mr. Jimmy Whaley, immediate past Chamber Board Chair and Chair of the event for this evening.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Mr. Buckley, you did wonderful. I can't thank you enough for your service this evening. Also, I'm going to throw a big shout out to Kenny Phillips, the staff and people, and the Chamber Board over here. He didn't know he was going to be my clock guy until he got here, and I said I needed a clock guy, so he helped me out. So I really appreciate that, Kenny. To the rest of our committee and our board, thank you so much for being here. To all of the candidates, I'm going off script, so sorry, Amber. But to the candidates, I want to say personally, thank you. Because you're willing to run means you're willing to serve and you're willing to give up time with your family and your friends. And it should mean everything to everyone, and they should get out and vote. And I'm a big believer in that. So thank you to each of you for your willingness to serve our community. We're very grateful. And at the Chamber, we really look forward to working with you. Whether you win or you don't, We want to work with you because if you're willing to volunteer your time, we want to be involved with you. So, sorry, Amber. Thank you for joining us this evening. See, I'm going to read the script now. Voting day is Tuesday, November 8th. The polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Early voting has already started at the fairgrounds on Highway 30. Starting November 4th, please go to your designated polling place for Election Day. And to determine your polling location, go to mvp.sos.ga.gov. Last thing I'm going to say, Mr. Darrell Sabbs and Ms. Amber Batchelor, both of you, thank you so much for all the work you put into this. I'm so grateful. I couldn't have done it without you. Everybody that's here, Mr. Bob Slinker, thank you for doing this. And all of you who showed up, thank you. And let's go vote.